this idea of there being a silver bullet or a free lunch or a magic ticket to fucking Willy Wonka land it's a farce. Hey, what up? It's Tampa Brad, and this is law number 40 of the 48 Laws of Power. And you'll notice that I introed this one a little differently from my other videos if you've seen them. If you haven't, go check out the other basically 48 or 47 of the 48 Laws of Power. They're sick. But Law 40 is by far my favorite law. And the reason is that, in my opinion, it is the most misunderstood and commonly broken law right now in 2020. And law number 40 is despise the free lunch. And I'll say that again for effect. Despise. Don't just not accept, don't just go away from, actively hate the free lunch. That's what law 40 is. And so the reason you have to despise the free lunch is that a free lunch is dangerous. As Sylvia holding the camera will soon find out, a free lunch comes with expectations and purse strings. No, I'm just kidding. But on a serious note, when I first listened to this law, I felt like a punch in the gut as far as listening to it and realizing how relevant it was to just kind of what the world is going through in regards to people being confused about there just not being any shit for free. Just that money follows value, and so many people don't understand that because there's so few people see what happens firsthand from some person to get from some A impoverished state to some B super really successful state. It's hard for people to understand what happens between there. So a lot of people assume that it just happens and that there actually is free lunch. But again, there's not, and you have to despise it. So let me talk about the best example of anything in this whole book, and it's in chapter 40. And it's the example of Francisco Pizarro looking for the city of El Dorado. And so the way the story goes is that Pizarro basically conquered, I think it was the Incan Empire. It was either the Incan or the Mayans. I'm pretty sure it was the Incans. And he establishes Spain's colony in South America. And he goes on to start hearing these stories about a man, and I guess like a tribal leader, who every day would coat himself in gold dust and dive into a lake. And so what they figured is any man who has that much gold that he can cover himself in gold dust and dive into the lake and lose all that gold dust, a whole body's worth, must have a basically infinite supply of gold. And so Francisco Pizarro's goal was to claim that for Spain. And so the story and the legend of El Dorado, which literally translates to the Golden Man, grew in time to eventually become what people thought of as a city. Excuse me. We don't have to edit that out. Sneezes make it real. Sneeze if you know it's real. So what it became is a story about a city where the streets were paved with gold, where everything was gold inlaid, and there was just more wealth than anywhere else in the entire world because there was just so much gold in that city, and it became the legend of the city of El Dorado. And what wound up happening is Francisco Pizarro decided that he was going to have an expedition of men that were going to go find the city of El Dorado. So they set out, and they initially got their direction from some local guide who kind of just told them it was generally over here. So they started going through the bush, and this is in the South American jungle, okay? So they set out with like 1,000 men, 4,000 pigs, like 500 horses, 70 mules, all this stuff, and so many wagons of supplies. And what winds up happening over time is they travel the first couple 100 miles through really thick, bad terrain. It's really tough going. And they're having to ford rivers and do all this shit. And eventually they come to this small village, and I mean, these guys are pissed by this time. People have started to get sick. They lost a couple guys along the way because, stuff happens, and it was dangerous back in the, that's the 1500s we're talking about, maybe even the 1400s. And so as time goes on, the men of the expedition and the officers start getting more and more upset about what's going on and their frustration with the journey. And so they start asking the villages that they come to, hey, they need to get information on how to get to El Dorado. So what happens is the villagers tell them, I don't know where El Dorado is, like go ask someone else. But the Spaniards are so frustrated that they wind up starting to torture and kill the villagers for not giving them information. So eventually somebody escapes from one of these villages where everybody's getting tortured and killed and goes ahead and warns the other villages. So now what's happening is these other villages know that they need to create this story about where El Dorado is and how to get there. So they start coming up with these stories and start getting the Spaniards going in what eventually becomes a massive circle. So they go in this massive 500-mile radius circle, 500-mile diameter. It's a big circle, bottom line. So they spend, I think it's 11 months on this trip. And by the time or it might have been, it was either 11 months or like a couple years, I forget, I'll have to look back. But it's a long ass time. They're out on the road, they're going several hundred miles. By the time they get back, there are 43 of the initial 1,000 men left surviving, of which one, Francisco Esposaro is one. They ate all their animals. They either had to kill or were abandoned by all their slaves, just deserted them, and all their guides deserted them. They've been essentially left in this huge circle, and local villagers described the men that returned as ghosts of their former selves, literally as if their souls had just been sucked out of them, and they were basically emaciated Holocaust victims by the time they got to the end of this voyage. And the lesson here is that the thing that they were searching for is their free lunch. They were looking for El Dorado. And the craziest part about the story is not that these guys went on this crazy journey after basically conquering a new world for Spain, right? It wasn't enough. They had to get the big free thing that they didn't have to work for. Now they did the hard stuff. Now it was time to do the easy thing and go find El Dorado and become rich. They couldn't just leave it at that. They had to keep going. The crazier part than those guys doing that expedition and it going on for as long as it was is that there were 3 more expeditions officially recorded, launched in search of El Dorado, and countless others that were not recorded officially. So this idea of there being a silver bullet or a free lunch or a magic ticket to fucking Willy Wonka land it's a farce. And there are countless examples in history of it being a farce. And if you waste your time on that, you're doing exactly that. You're wasting the one resource that you can never get back, and it's your time. You can never get your time back. It's this time that I'm investing in making this video to talk to you, I'm never gonna get it back. But I'm doing it because I know that if I invest in bringing value to other people, it will come back around to me. So that's why I do this, and frankly, I enjoy it. It's kind of a hobby. It's fun for me at this point to make these silly ass videos. But beyond that, the idea of a free lunch, a lot of people are really caught up in it right now. It's 2020, it's August of 2020. And so there's a huge craze going on with a couple things. There's high ticket coaching, there's Amazon resellers, there's drop shippers, and there's cryptocurrency. Everybody knows about cryptocurrency, right? Bitcoin, getting rich off Bitcoin. Chainlink, exactly. I have to say Chainlink in the video because Silvio's making me. There's a couple things in there that are people looking for a free lunch. There's one that actually is not, and I'll explain why, and that's cryptocurrency. So the reason that that's not a free lunch is because it is and it isn't. There are people who are getting lucky, but it's because they're riding a wave of moving investment. There's massive value being created in the space, and whenever that happens, it's actually not a free lunch. Cryptocurrencies are allowing things to happen faster and with less friction and less cost. So because transaction price is coming down, less inputs are producing more outputs, so overall the economy is getting more out of using a crypto-based system. That is a real value add. It's not a free lunch. There's a real value add there. There's always going to be speculators that can get on the back of that and make money. So that's kind of a unique oddity that actually, speculators have a real opportunity to make money there. But that said, once it becomes sufficiently mature, it's going to be like all the other things. We're still early enough in crypto because it's such a huge move. It starts disrupting the financial system as a whole, which is, like $200-300 trillion in worldwide. That's a huge dislocation. That's different from something like, say, becoming an Amazon reseller and or a drop shipper, for example, and saying that you're going to replace a 6-figure income by becoming an Amazon drop shipper. The likelihood of that is highly unlikely. So The difference there is you're not really creating that much value in doing that, the Amazon dropshipping thing. There are unique different cases, but it's about the value creation. Investing your money in cryptocurrency is allowing a lot of value to be created in the economy. So it's actually not a free lunch, but a lot of uneducated people are getting validated in their thought that it is a free lunch. Actually, a lot of people are getting tricked into believing in the free lunch concept because they're not understanding what's actually going on. It's like the saying, Sylvia said this earlier, a broken clock is right twice a day. We're talking about Lil Wayne. Prediction in this video, Lil Wayne will make a comeback in 2020 or 2021. You heard it here first. Aside from that, a broken clock is right twice a day. So these people are right, but they don't realize that they're betting on the free lunch, and in reality, it's actually a huge dislocation. That's a once in a 100 lifetime type scenario. We probably will not see another thing like cryptocurrency in our lifetime. So that said, people who use massive success in cryptocurrency as comparing it to winning the lottery, it's nothing like that. It's more, a better way to think of it is you were born in a time where you'd be alive in 2020 to take advantage of crypto. You already won the lottery. That's a better way to think of it. Crypto, is totally different from playing the lottery, which is the same thing as a free lunch, which is why 97% of lottery winners become broke. There's a larger energetic reason as to why that is the case, and it's the idea that in order to receive, you first have to give. Lottery winners are not giving by nature for the most part. There's some notable exceptions, but for the most part, they're not. Someone in the giving mindset is not going out and playing the lottery, right? They're using that money instead as donations and stuff like that. And those people wind up getting further ahead than the people that win the lottery, ironically. So that said, Sylvia's hand is getting tired. I love this law. I could go on for another hour about this, but we'll cut it here by basically summing up with this. There's no one that's going to do it for you. Whatever it is that you're trying to do in your life, in whatever area, human beings were always striving for something. No one is ever going to do it for you. If you want something, you have to do it. There's no trick. There's no magic system. There are good systems that will get you on track. They're great systems. But at the end of the day, a system is a cup in which you have to still pour the water. And the water is your effort, your ingenuity, your human ability. So that said, there's no such thing as a free lunch. That's an economic thing. Despise the free lunch. Don't get taken advantage of by your brain thinking and being tricked into thinking that you can be a lottery winner or that there is a free lunch. So don't get tricked. Stay tuned for law number 41, which is coming super soon. We're back in the rhythm of shooting these semi-regularly, so there'll be more 48 Laws of Power videos coming out. We're super close to being done. Probably going to launch into the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People following the 48 Laws of Power once that's wrapped up. We only got 7 left, so I look forward to seeing you in Law 41. If you've not already subscribed to this YouTube channel, it truly helps me a lot. And then follow me on Instagram at TampaBrad. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching and your attention. I do appreciate it. This is not a waste of your time, and this is not a free lunch, so just don't despise it. Peace.
Since you got to the end, I'm guessing you liked the video. That's because we don't just whip out an iPhone and start filming. We work extremely hard to get the narrative flow just right. In fact, a lot of local businesses have started hiring Home Love Media to make videos for them. One of our recent client videos just eclipsed 10,000 views on Facebook, and there were no cats, memes, or dancing men anywhere to be found. So if you want to find out how we can work with you to make a client video for your business, email us at homelovemedia@gmail.com.